Money Talk.
This is Akashvani. In the program Money Talk, now we bring you a discussion on significance of rare earth magnets for the economy. The participants are Sharat Kohli, economic analyst, and Rajesh Lake, anchor.
Hello and welcome to Money Talk, in which we discuss the critical topic of the significance of rare earth magnets for the Indian economy. Rare earth magnets are essential components powering key sectors such as electric vehicles, renewable energy, electronics and defense. We are privileged to have Sharat Kohli, an economic expert, to discuss and share insights on this pivotal subject. A warm welcome to Akashvani.
Thank you so much, Rajesh, and my greetings to all the listeners of Akashvani.
Sharat, could you briefly explain what rare earth magnets are and why they are considered critical inputs for modern technology?
A very interesting question, Rajesh, and a lot of people ask me, we never used to hear about rare earths. In fact, hearing about rare earth was rare until now, and all of a sudden for the last few years, I would say, and very recently, they've so much been in discussion. And a lot of people wonder that why did we, something which is so precious and something which had so much of utility, why weren't we hearing about that before? And the simple reason was that wherever they were being used, the use was quite smooth, the supply was quite smooth, or I would say the utility has increased so much that now you need them so much. And suddenly when the world realized that only certain corner of the world has got control over the supply, I think that's where. So to make your question answer look very simple, these are the rare earth minerals and magnets which are used in devices of this century, or shall I say on devices which are very, very contemporary, right? From satellites to electric vehicles, from medical devices to electronic devices. And it's only when, I remember the time of COVID, when suddenly the chips were in short supply. And I remember people waiting for the laptops and some people waiting for the delivery of vehicles and so and so. And then suddenly people realize, oh my God, there is something called chips which is needed so much. I didn't know that chips were needed so much. Likewise, now I think rare earths, when the supply squeeze was felt around the world, the countries around the world, the manufacturers around the world, the suppliers around the world realized that, my God, this could be heart and brain of anything, or this could be kidney or a liver, that you cannot function without this. These are the minerals which are used essentially in the devices which I just spoke of. And mind you, these devices are subject to constant innovation. These devices are being used by the next generation. And why forget artificial intelligence? In fact, artificial intelligence has got a lot to do with, there is a lot of direct relation between rare earth magnets and minerals with artificial intelligence related devices, Rajesh.
So you very nicely elucidated the use of the rare earth magnets. And also during the cabinet briefing, we have our Minister Shri Ashwini Vaishnav talk about the use of the rare earth magnets in various industries. Let's hear what he has to say.
हम सब जानते हैं रेयर अर्थ और परमानेंट मैग्नेट ये आज एक स्ट्रेटेजिक सेक्टर से जुड़ी हुई चीज बन चुकी है। कोविड के दौरान सबने देखा कि मैग्नेट की कमी के कारण और चिप्स की कमी के कारण करीब करीब बहुत सारी चीजों की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, चाहे वो कार हो, चाहे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स के आइटम्स हो, उनकी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बंद हो गई। इस स्ट्रेटेजिक सेक्टर की इम्पोर्टेंस को समझते हुए माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने पहले सेमीकंडक्टर मिशन बनाया जिसमें चिप्स मैन्युफैक्चर हो सके, और कैबिनेट में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने परमानेंट मैग्नेट के मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का बड़ा प्रोग्राम एक अप्रूव किया है।
Sharat, from a global perspective, how significant is China's dominance in rare earth supply chains and what risks does it pose to India?
If you look at the numbers, 60 to 70% of the rare earth resources supplies, it is said, are controlled by China. And this is still okay. But look at the processing, because these rare earth minerals and magnets, even if they are found in the earth, they need a substantial amount of processing. And the process of processing, shall I call it that way, is a bit painful. It is not very easy. So what China did, I think probably they had foreseen the future. What they did is the control of processing of these materials, they have kept almost 90% to themselves. So which means that the globe is now dependent largely on China for supply of these magnets. And the recent meeting between American President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping, where, if you remember, the quick fix kind of a trade deal, the mini trade deal which happened between the two countries, not a permanent deal, but the deal was because America was squeezed was feeling squeezed rather, because China had strangulated the supply of rare earth. And strangulation on rare earth meant that all the satellite programs in America, the defense-related programs in America, electronic programs in America, they got under stress. And President Trump had to rush, and a deal was done where China agreed to supply these rare earth minerals and magnets for 1 more year. And in return, US decided to reduce the tariffs by about 10%. So the significance can be felt internationally. I think Indian government has realized that fact. And not that India is not producing satellite, not that India is not producing space equipments. India is heavily into defense production. India is heavily into electronic production now. The Make in India is firing on those engines. So India also realized that now, if we are dependent on China for these magnets and minerals, we probably will face a situation where everything can come to a standstill one fine day because of change of policy, because we are nirbhar, we are dependent on somebody. I think that's where Minister Ashwini Vaishnav's statement came, and that's where the Council of Ministers' decision has been taken, that we will now promote rare earth.
So in terms of 90% you mentioned that China controls, what is the current status of India's rare earth element reserves and magnet manufacturing capabilities?
It is said that the deposits in India are to the tune of 6.9 million tons. But as far as the production is concerned, or shall I say the domestic rare earth production is concerned, only 2,900 tons of rare earths in 2024 were set to be produced in India. So you can imagine, out of 6.9 million tons, only 2,900 tons of rare earths were being produced in India, which means that the deposits are there, the resources are there, but there was very little initiative to go and tap them. That's where this mission REPM comes from. The government of India is now committed that we have to become Atmanirbhar on these rare earth magnets. Without these permanent magnets and rare earth minerals, you could get really stuck, and it'll impact your innovation. It'll impact the technological advancement of the country, Rajesh.
Okay, you mentioned 2,900 tons are being produced in India. Why has India been so slow in establishing a strong rare earth magnet value chain?
Well, it's not just India, it's the globe. It's the world. In fact, when America felt the squeeze, and to the countries where China was exporting all these years, things were very smooth. But now in this new regime, where countries have started to think of themselves, the countries have started to use that as a tool to bargain. So in those times, I think it becomes imperative. Well, India was importing about 53,743 metric tons as of now, and there was no problem, which is what I said in the beginning, that so long as the supply was smooth, there was no issue. But soon as we started feeling the squeeze, when the relations with China were under strain for some time, you could feel the squeeze in the industries which were using rare earth. And a very classic example currently, Rajesh, would be electric vehicles. I mean, look at the pollution level, the environment problem with Indian metros are facing, including the Delhi NCR. We are desperate to make sure that more and more electric vehicles are on the road. But how can these electric vehicles come unless you have the magnets supporting the batteries? We are importing lithium, we are importing. Prime Minister has got a brilliant vision when he says that when you're dependent on somebody, you could spell disaster at some point of time. We have to become Atmanirbhar, and that's where this particular program is emanating from.
So how are Indian public sector units and private players collaborating to improve rare earth mining and processing in India?
Well, I think after this initiative, I feel that this is going to catch up. You will find more impetus, more speed coming down in the manufacturing and processing of these, or shall I say, searching, mining of these rare earth minerals and processing them into usable form. You will see that happening. We also saw a few days ago, royalty program being amended for the rare earth minerals, that there were incentives being given, because there was an issue that wherever the deposits were being found, Rajesh, there was a royalty issue. So I think the government has streamlined that royalty problem. Now with these permanent magnet program, so I think we are gradually moving in a direction where not just the public sector undertakings, but now you will see, Rajesh, a lot of private players coming. We've seen the areas where private players have stepped in. Things have got changed. Even the public sector units, they stood shoulder to shoulder to match the competition. So to answer your question directly, you will now find after this program, announcement of this program rather, that the public sector undertakings are going to really go full on to make sure that we catch up with the production.
Okay, you talked about royalty. The minister also talked about rare earth permanent magnet scheme. Let's hear what he had to say.
जिस तरह से मेक इन इंडिया बहुत तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहा है, भारत की रिक्वायरमेंट लगातार बढ़ती जा रही है परमानेंट मैग्नेट, और परमानेंट मैग्नेट को भारत में मैन्युफैक्चर करने के लिए एक रेयर अर्थ परमानेंट मैग्नेट्स स्कीम REPM स्कीम अप्रूव हुई है कैबिनेट में. इसमें फोकस रहेगा एंड टू एंड कंप्लीट इंटीग्रेटेड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सिस्टम बने भारत में. इसमें फोकस रहेगा एंड टू एंड कंप्लीट इंटीग्रेटेड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सिस्टम बने.
Combined with what the Minister just said, could you elaborate on key government schemes such as the production-linked incentive schemes for rare earth magnets and the National Critical Mineral Mission?
The initiative taken by the government will go a long way in bringing forth not just the public sector but the private sector players, as I said. The moment you start an initiative, start a business or start exploring these minerals or processing these minerals, from finance to technical support, from marketing to procuring, I think everything would be taken up. And then, let's not forget, Rajesh, you need a lot of skilled manpower to process. And you also need environmental protection, because some of the emissions which come out of, processing of the rare earth, they need to be dealt. I think everything is going to be taken care of. And then, of course, once the product is out, there is no dearth of selling it because it is in hot demand. I think anybody who wants to come forward, including the public sector undertakings, they will never face a problem of sales or marketing because it is already in hot demand. All we need to do is just to cut down on the imports to that extent and substitute it by the local supplies. Right?
So, Sharad, what role can the smaller industries and MSMEs play in rare earth magnet supply chain expansion?
I think MSMEs also have a very promising opportunity here because they can get linked to that major industry. And most of the MSMEs, I call them satellite businesses. When I say satellite businesses, there is a main company, there's a big company, and MSMEs assume different roles. Either they become suppliers, some of them become suppliers of the manpower, some of them help in logistics, some of them help in waste management. So I think MSMEs have a very promising opportunity here in rare earth. This is the element of tomorrow. This is the material of tomorrow. You will only realize when you run short of it. As I said, as long as there was a smooth supply, we never thought about it. But the moment there was a squeeze, we started realizing how important this is.
These rare earths have a wide usage and there is a growing requirement of the rare earths in the country, and the Minister, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, also talked about it.
देश की रिक्वायरमेंट करीब 4,000 से 5,000 मेट्रिक टन की देश की अभी रिक्वायरमेंट है और ये रिक्वायरमेंट बढ़ती जा रही है. जैसे जैसे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बढ़ रही है, जैसे जैसे मेडिकल डिवाइसेस की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बढ़ रही है, इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बढ़ रही है, वैसे वैसे देश में परमानेंट मैग्नेट की इंपॉर्टेंस बढ़ती जा रही है, डिमांड बढ़ती जा रही है, रिक्वायरमेंट बढ़ती जा रही है. तो टोटल 6,000 मेट्रिक टन्स पर एनम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कैपेसिटी डेवलप करेंगे इन 5 यूनिट्स. So within next 2 to 3 years, these plants will be set up और इन plants में manufacturing production start हो जाएगा.
So Sharad, my last question to you is, how do government policies aim to accelerate India's goal to become self-reliant in rare earth magnet production by the year 2030?
Well, as he spelled out, that it's going to be end-to-end support to the manufacturers and processors. And if you look at the states which are on target, where these deposits are supposed to be, I would like to name a few states. There is Odisha, there is Kerala, there is Tamil Nadu, there is West Bengal, Jharkhand, Gujarat and Maharashtra. So what is common in these states? They are all coastal states, which means the deposits of rare earth or processing is better seen in the coastal states. India has got a long 7,000 kilometer coastal border. So I think this opportunity lies there. And the next 5 years, as he said, 4,000 to 5,000 tons and 6,000 tons, he wants the capacity. In fact, if we are able to do 6,000 tons, we will be in a position to export as well. And I can tell you with a lot of conviction that if India succeeds in exporting rare earths, you will have the whole world looking at the country in a completely different manner.
On that note, as India progresses towards a sustainable and technologically advanced economy, the role of rare earth magnets will only grow further in significance. Thank you, Sharad, for joining this important conversation with us, and thank you for being with Akash.
That was my pleasure. Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on significance of rare earth magnets for the economy. The participants were Sharad Kohli, economic analyst, and Rajesh Lake, anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official.
Money Talk